Good evening, everybody. Welcome to Craps Chat, episode 6 of season 3. Coming to you on this fine Sunday evening. And sorry, I'm getting some feedback in my ear. Now I know why I'm getting feedback. Sorry. Production issue on my side. Sorry about that, everybody. But we're here for Craps Chat on this wonderful Sunday evening. We got a great panel for you tonight. We're going to go over quite a few topics. We're going to recap some Craps for the Cure. So overall, it's going to be a great time. So John, let's get to our panel. We're going to get to our come out roll, and obviously you guys can see who's here. Craig, what are we coming out on tonight?
I'll tell you what we're coming out on. You know what? He's mentioned quite a bit in the chats, and everybody loves it when he comes in and when people join in. He's been doing a lot of premieres the past year, and I'm coming out on Waylon. Waylon was just, maybe I hope he doesn't feel bad that I'm saying this, but he was feeling a little discouraged in the past few weeks, and then he came out with a video about maybe possibly some changes that were coming, but he had some discouragement about the subscribers and some things that they were saying. And I'm just here to tell him, and I texted him privately, we love you. We're here for you. And then he started doing these uh, hot videos where he was doing the 6859. And I tell you, the man does these strategies that you can start doing at the tables. You don't have to really necessarily do it at bubble craps all the time. I know a lot of people say, well, only Waylon's only strategy you can do at bubble craps. Well, you could do it, you just have to take it down to the level. And he tells you that in your videos. He always tells you to watch your bankroll. He always tells you to look where you are, which is always helping out the community. But his strategies, he always starts with a $2,500 or $4,000 bankroll, but he always says you can take it down to the level that you're comfortable with playing. And I love that. And I've been jumping on a couple of his premieres and, giving some encouragement. But Waylon, I love you. Hang in there. Things are going to get better and you're doing great. So that's where I'm coming out.
There you go. Jen, what are we coming out on tonight, and how are you doing tonight?
Yeah, I'm doing really well, and I just feel so much closer to you guys after doing another round of CFTC Craps for the Cure. We missed you terribly, DGen, but the rest of us did pretty good. And I want to say I'm sorry that I created such a high stress situation for John and me, and we're all good. Everyone's happy. I'm so glad that Ryan was there and Joe, who are two very, very calm people. And of course, Craig was too. And they're like, diffuse the tensions. Because, we're very passionate about it. And in the end, like, if there's some bickering, it's because, like, John's like my older brother. He doesn't know anything, and I have to fix everything for him. But, like, that's what you do for family. Like and for sure. And I'm just grateful for you guys. So thanks.
Awesome. John, what are we coming out on tonight?
Boy, oh boy, so many things to come out on. First of all, just thanks, Jen, for all that. We are like siblings and siblings. We're all siblings, right? We're all family. I say this all the time. I was talking to Gargoyle today on the phone, and it's funny. He calls me. He's like he's got a sixth sense. Like he knows when I'm feeling really down. And tonight, when we canceled the the bingo show, he called me. He didn't even know we were on the show. He had no idea. He just called me and said, I got to feel like you need to talk. Right. And so we talked for like 45 minutes, and very similar to conversations that I had with some of y'all out there at Crash for the Cure. Like Craig said about Waylon, like there are times in your life where you're just like down, like this game is killing me, running a channel is killing me, like all of it's killing me. Right. And then you realize that, look at this, we got Joe and we got Chris and Craig and Jen and Brian. And I know Leon's out there somewhere in the world, and Waylon's out there somewhere in the world, and we're just like this cool, awesome family. And like I got to remember that, like it's all the BS that happens on our channels and the stuff in chats, and it doesn't matter nothing. Like it's all we're finding every year at Crash for the Cure how close we actually all are, and it gets closer every year because now we're meeting more and more of ourselves in person, and it comes down to that. Like that's my coming out role. It's like we're just pretty awesome. And it's cool to be associated with so many awesome people and like just have like the community that it is. And I love it. So that's it.
Yep, you guys definitely are awesome. To my co-host Skill, what are we coming out on tonight?
Hey everyone. I just want to go back to the basics. What I want to come out is about the field bet. I'm not really a huge fan of the field bet, especially if the 12 or the two, if it doesn't if it one of the sides doesn't pay triple. If it pays double double, then stay away from the field. It's great for outside stuff. You know, it's a good helper, but people rely too much on that field bet, and to me, it's overrated. So that's what I'm coming out on.
There you go. And as you guys can see, we have Joe from Craftsmaster Journey and Brian from Holy Roller joining us this evening. So, Joe, what are we coming out on tonight?
I'm going to kind of piggyback on what John was talking about with the crafts community, but I'm going to take a little bit different twist. I'm going to talk about the charity that this crafts community has for each other. We all came together for the Crafts of the Cure. We raised an amazing amount of money, which will be announced, I'm sure, in the near future here. But also the amount of money that was donated to me to help build that crafts table. Majority, not all, but majority of it was donated towards the cost of materials there. But I want to go even one step further. I want to pull out two people in our community that are huge helps. One is on the panel here, JusticeJen, who went above and beyond helping many of us at the community, at the Crafts for the Cure event, with hotels, with bookings, with all these different things. And my granddaughter here wants to jump in and say hi too. So, and also, I want to pull Jeff from Mid-Atlantic Crafts, who watched my show this last Friday, and I had a little bit of a problem on the show, and he sent me a gift that arrived in the mail yesterday. And you guys will hopefully see the benefits of this gift on tomorrow's show. So that's where I'm coming out, the charity of the crafts community and how we all work together for these remarkable causes.
100%, 100%. A lot of great people in the community. Everyone always banding together. Brian, what are we coming out on tonight?
Hey, what's up, everybody? Can you hear me okay?
Loud and clear.
Awesome. Hey, yeah, I guess it is going to be a little repeat, but man, the community, being there in person. I mean, Chris, we missed you. We wish you were there. Everybody that wasn't there, that was there last year, we definitely felt it, that we missed you. But also the fact that we can. So I'm coming out on saying we all need to get there next time. Whenever it is, we need to just get there and be there in person, because the community just is great, like online, but in person, it just takes it up a notch. And so I'm coming out on that. I'm coming out on getting together in person. That's my big one.
I love it. I love it. Yeah, it depressed me a lot actually not to be there. I was texting many of you who were there, that like you guys are doing a great job, but this sucks watching it. Like I want to be there.
Hey, you had a better situation going on at that time, Chris.
You did.
We'll downplay that.
No, I did, but no, it was definitely sad to not be there. And I'm gonna kind of piggyback off all of you for my come out role. So obviously the community is really, really good. Just as a reminder to everybody, craftsforthecure.com raffle items are still up. You can still bid on raffle items, buy raffle tickets. I know John's going to be doing a couple more renditions of bingo and stuff, so definitely get involved there. The drawing for the raffle items is going to be on Veterans Day, so make sure you guys all get in there. Support the charity if you haven't already. If you have, everybody thanks you. I know Mooch will thank you, and the future to-be puppy dog will also thank you, because puppies are nothing but bundles of love who just want to give you love back. So make sure you love them by donating and getting in on those raffle items. Good show tonight planned. We're going to do a little bit of discussion on a couple different topics, right? So tonight we're going to talk about play styles. We're going to talk about if you're playing for comps, if you're playing for profit. We're going to talk about Crafts for the Cure. Obviously, we have a lot of the individuals who were on the screen and producing and running everything who were there. We're also going to talk about different kind of play styles and stuff. So let's start it off with play styles, right? Because I know we've heard some things about Crafts for the Cure. We're going to kind of talk about that throughout the entire show here. But as Brian said, right, we want to get out there and we want to meet people, but sometimes playing with a group is a little different than how you play on your own. Sometimes your play style might vary, your goal may vary. So we're going to talk about that to kick off our show. And I'm going to go to JusticeJen first because she's probably the most well-traveled individual out of all of us here. So, Jen, do you differ when you're playing by yourself versus when you're playing with a group versus when you go to one of these events to travel somewhere? How does your play change, if at all? And do you do anything differently when you're playing in a group setting versus playing on your own, other than just furiously slapping that bubble machine?
um, I like my hands get all tired. So yeah, it's been a total progression where I used to feel guilty, and I have talked to you guys about this. When I play the don't on my friends, I felt really bad. But then, why should we all lose money together? Somebody's going to win, and if it's going to be me, fine, we'll just donate it back. But and if I do a lane, you guys pick me off. If I do a don't, you guys pick me off. Good for you. That's great. So my progress is that now I do a little bit of the ATS, so I can celebrate together. And so I used to try to play light with everybody. It didn't quite work. Then I just played how I always played, and also that didn't work because there's enough good shooting from our folks to just absolutely crush you. So there's a little hedgy wedgy going on. Joe's the worst. If you play don't, just I'll definitely bet on red, hop red on his come outs. He's a total torpedo for anybody on the don't. But yeah, I try to play now how I want to play. I have to practice a strategy for a good shooting group, right? So with a blue wrench crew, I have to do a different strategy. With you guys this time, I did a King 7, and that's a mostly dark with a light phase in. So it was great. I actually pretty much won every session, especially when Joe wasn't on the table. So that's my new thing. When I'm by myself, I'm merciless. I'm like dark, 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 dark.
The Dark Queen when she's by herself. We'll go over to Joe. So Joe, I know you do some play on your own. I know you also travel to Chicago quite often and play with the group there. So how does your play differ when you're playing by yourself versus when you're playing with the group?
When I'm playing at my home casino, I'm using proper terms here, at my home casino, I tend to be very cautious on the other shooters. I really critique the other shooters and see where they're at, and that leads to be a very boring game a lot of times because some of these people do go on rampant rolls, and I sit and watch. But when I play with groups, and say when I went down to Chicago, I used to bet on everybody, and I'm slowly getting away from that because the Chicago group has a ton, and I mean a ton of good shooters, but they're not always on, and we have to find who those 2 or 3 good shooters are for that session or that day, and that's where we start concentrating most of our bets on. When I went to Vegas 2 weeks ago, everybody can vouch for me. I played very blue-collar craps style. I did not bet very big at all. In fact, Jen bought in for a certain amount of money. She goes, "Hey, Joe, I'm going blue-collar craps," and I threw $300 on the table. Said, "Jen, I'm playing blue-collar craps." So, but I was, very, very strict on my betting, very strict on my shooting, and I ended up coming away with a profit from Vegas because of that. So, the biggest suggestion I would have playing with the group is don't play for the group, play for yourself, and and then learn the trends of the table, the trends of the shooters, and go in that direction.
Hey Joe,
Yeah,
quick
that's
question:
important.
Did you
Yes.
play on that light up table? You were texting me that you had the light up table in your local.
Yes.
Did you play on it?
Yes. I'll talk privately about that.
It's weird.
I bought it for transparency here. I bought it for 300. I only played for about an hour, and I lost like $70. So it was minor loss, but it was a different experience shooting on the table. Something I'm gonna have to train myself a little bit differently for. So
yeah, you can tell why I bought that special piece of plastic for it to practice on.
Yes,
It's such a
yes.
weird surface. Yeah.
Yeah. And for everybody here, John was talking about a while back in Seattle. He had a table that had like a plexiglass under the layout, and then it lights up through the layout. Well, Green Bay just put one in about 2 months ago, and I just saw it the other day for the first time. And honestly, one of the things that bothered me most not was the plexiglass, was the dice were clear and the light was going
Hmm.
through the dice. So that
Oh,
was like
weird.
throwing my concentration off like massively.
Hmm.
So that was one of the things I had a little bit of a beef about. So
Those tables are a strange surface because I went to visit John and I played at the lip with him when they had that table, and
yeah.
it's just weird. Like you
You can't
throw on
describe
that
it.
thing and like yeah, like
Well,
you're
this is
watching
my
people
description.
throw. Go ahead.
This is my description. Okay, in Green Bay, you would throw it. You would actually hear the plexiglass underneath go tink tink with the dice. The felt was not tight to the table, so
Right.
there's a little bit of give or flex to it. And if you had like a Yuri style toss where you could actually roll the dice down the table, not toss it, but to roll it down the table, it would come back and you could judge the energy off the back wall and keep it pretty decent. But what happened is there's a, the bottom little curve on the back wall, on the bottom of the wall, the dice were hitting and they're flying like halfway across the table, no matter how soft or
Hmm.
how hard you threw the dice. And it was very, very different type of table, something I've never ever played on before.
It's weird.
Yeah,
It's
it's
really
definitely
weird. It
different.
takes
It's
getting used
weird.
to.
Yeah, and like
Yeah,
I know a lot of people like to compare it to like a roll to win table. To me, it's so
it
It's
different
not.
because a
wasn't.
roll to win
It
table,
wasn't.
you have just the plexiglass. The felt on top of the plexiglass is a unique landing surface. Let me tell you, like
Yeah,
you can watch people throw the dice on that thing, and you're like, oh, okay, all right, I'm seeing what's going on. As soon as you throw the dice, you're like, oh shit, like this is different. This is weird. Like you got to
it
get used to it.
was.
I think my first toss on that, the dice I threw them. I think they came back past the prop action because they just
Yeah,
hit
yeah,
so hard off the plexiglass and
yeah,
so hard off the wall that like it almost came back to me, and I was like, all right, this is weird. I gotta adjust something here. But
yeah,
definitely an interesting surface to be on. So um, kind of interesting that they have it. They're putting it in where you are. I hope to
yeah,
God they don't put them in near me because I will not play on those tables because they're weird to me. But
yeah.
interesting, very interesting. All right, Brian, how do you play differently if you're playing with a group or if you're playing by yourself? I know you go on a lot of cruises. So I know, you're playing by yourself on some of those cruises. Sometimes you're with members of the community, you meet people there. How does your play differ?
Yeah, great question. And you probably know right off the bat that when I'm on a cruise, I'm playing for comps straight up. Even if other people are there, I'm like playing big and for comps. And then when I play, at these events, when we get together, I play like almost. Is there anything lower than blue collar? Because that's where I
No, blue
play.
collar,
Blue collar.
gutter crafts. They call it street crafts. That's pretty high
Street
dollar.
crafts, right?
Yeah. So I had 300. I played what I call the mirror, which is pretty much betting the sister. So if it's a 5, I'll bet the 9. If it's a 4, I'll bet the 10, and like just play for 10 or $12 per shooter just to be there with everyone and get on the ATS so that I could celebrate with everyone. So, but that sometimes, you're sitting there, you're watching these long rolls, waiting for your number to hit. And I have to tell myself, I'm here for the fellowship. I'm here
Yep.
for I'm here for the community, and just waiting for a 10 and it never hits. And then I'm down, $15 because I put 212 on the ATS. So after a while, I got down and then had, it just went down and down and down. And then I'm like, okay, I need to go to light in the darkness, play a little hybrid so I could get my money back. And that worked for a while. And I was there for, another round of rolls because of that, because, it would be like come out and then couple rolls and then 7 out. And then I get my money back. And so I would stay there like that, even though I wasn't playing for comps. But until we got to Joe, of course, Joe's come out sevens because that's when you're on the come out is the game, that's the game, and so but yeah, that's how I do it different. I'll play really really small, just play for minimum amounts and hope to get one hit to get my money back when I play with everyone.
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, I know Some people think it's boring. I play very similarly when I play with like a big group. It's usually ATS and I'll mid bet in the 6 and the 8, or maybe a little bit above table minimal in the 6 and the 8, getting a hit, and then I'll go from there. But I'm usually pretty boring when I play with big groups, just for the sole purpose, like Joe said, when you got to see who's on that day, who's hot right now, who am I actually betting on, then maybe I'll make some adjustments. And then you figure it out as you go. But I'm pretty boring also when I play with a bunch of people. So it's definitely interesting. Jen, I know you got a follow up to that, so I'm gonna go to you.
Just to comment what Holy was saying, how he's there for the fellowship. Um, that used to be me. I was there to have fun and for the fellowship, but I've progressed to the point where it's like I've evolved to I'm there to win the money. I'm there to win the money, and that's why feeling that bad that I do a DP, it has like literally nothing to do with anyone. I am hoping you hit the all tall small for us, so as you can see, there's a way to do both. So yeah, but winning the money is much more satisfying. Sorry, as much as I love the fellowship.
So
I
Jen,
agree with you 100%, Jen. 100% I agree.
But see, but the thing is, you can't
like
have the fellowship. You can't have the fellowship unless you're there, right? And part of the problem is finding ways to play where you can stay there for a long time. And Duracell put it in chat. I put it up on screen about the Horseman or the play all day or the one that Jen did, which is the don't pass with perpetual come bets. These strategies ultimately have the super, super low house edge, which basically means you're tying all the time. And that's got to be okay to some degree, right? Like that, the play all day or the Horseman or what Jen was doing on a hot shooter, those come bets will start repaying themselves and you'll make money on those guys, right? But you're not out there blasting across, praying for it like I was doing. Like I went opposite of that, right? But I think the most important thing is the fellowship, but you got to be able to, you want to make sure that when you're there having fun and high-fiving and hugging and all the stuff, that you're making some money too. Like give yourself a chance to win, and I think the only thing I would have advised, and I want to see like what Jen was doing with that, because that was a cool strategy, like the big don't with the odds and the perpetual coming. Those come bets converted to low value place bets afterwards might have been a cool way to transition out of that and make the don't pass a little more attractive over time. But you were able to last, even with a massive bankroll, the entire trip. And Joe playing the Horseman most of the time lasted almost the whole trip just playing Horseman most of the time, right? When I played the Horseman, which I didn't do enough of, it was great. I always made money or whatever, but I got bored a little bit. I'm like, I wasn't enjoying myself with my own thing. So I did my other own thing and, I still had fun. But you got to be there. I think it's all about longevity. So I think we have a new person joined us. Is that right?
We do have a new person.
Oh my goodness! Look at that.
I think what Jen
give me a minute to get him in.
I think if we had to sum up what Jen was saying and doing is she's doing fellowship with insurance.
Jen's a big insurance person. I'm gonna go while John's bringing in our other guest here. I'm gonna go to Skill. Skill, how does your play differ if you're playing by yourself or if you're playing with a group?
Well, honestly, it doesn't differ that much. I'm a big 6, 7, 8 person, for the strategy. So I'm a hedger. I've always been a hedger. Unless I'm unless I'm really seeing a trend at the table that's happening, and then I can, I'll catch on that wave and either go right, or go light side. So, or go inside or whatever I feel is that I can benefit the most of following that trend. But I don't have an issue with hedging and with 6, 7, 8 at all, and that's what I'm accustomed to, and that's what I do. So I really don't differ a lot between myself or with others, and I haven't had any issues with people. I don't. This is for Jen. Don't let that psychology. You're not fighting the other person. You're fighting the dealer. You're fighting the house. So that's that weird mentality that you've got to fight. That you're not actually against the shooter. You're your own captain. You're your own ship. Don't worry about what the others are doing. You gotta be content. And that's another thing for John. You always got to be content. Whether you don't have to go for everything, and you have to be content with the wins. The small wins add up, and you should have to, you should be comfortable in yourself that, a little bit here, a little bit there, and and you should be fine with that. And I'm always content, so I'm not. I'm not. If I win a little bit, great. If I lose a little bit, okay. So it was, it is what it is. There's always another day, but you got to always be content with however you play.
Sure. I was actually pretty happy with going across, taking a couple of hits and leaving the 4 and 10 by themselves, taking the rest of it down and letting the 4 and 10 and the ATS just rock the day. And if I won, I won. If I didn't, I didn't. But I was always pretty much tying at that point. I was fine doing that because it gave me some lasting power and it gave me some chance to, to score something if it happened. And, a couple times the 4s and 10s made me some good money. And I didn't have to chase the entire thing all the time. I think I was working towards not trying to chase the home run every single time, like a couple, 2-3 hits and bye-bye. And I was happy most of the time. And I think most people grew into that, except for Ryan. Welcome to the show, Ryan.
Going to Ryan. Yeah, that's Ryan. I've been coming to you next. John segued right for me. We're talking play styles. If your play differs when you are by yourself, if it's different when you're with like a big group of people, do you change anything? Do you play any differently? And welcome to the show, my friend.
I appreciate it, my friend. Thank you. And I'm not sure if I ever told you congratulations on being engaged. That's a big step, big milestone. We did miss you at Craps for the Cure. I was looking forward to meeting you for the first time. But no, I'll be honest with you. I am typically, whether I'm playing for comps, whether I'm playing for winnings, whether I'm playing whatever I'm doing, I'm typically like blitz. Like I bring my bankroll, I bring my money. I'm at the tables, and I'm literally at the tables to win. And I'm okay with whatever I bring. If I lose it, I'll lose it, and I accept that, right? So typically when I'm playing, I'm going whatever 220 inside or 270. I'm pressing. I will collect. I usually do like a press collect or something like that. But no, typically if I'm playing wherever, whether it's with John, Jen, or whoever, or even with my wife on the cruise, I'm playing all out for the most part.
Yeah, no, I mean,
I see that.
No, you're gonna do what you do, and if good
so,
for you.
So
Keep
Chris,
it going
so
either
Chris,
way.
during one of my rolls, on one of the longer rolls, I was about 2/3 of the way through the roll, and all of a sudden I hear, "Yeah, I just hit $1,000 on that." It was Ryan. Ryan hit $1,000 on the hard 8 that I hit. Wow.
Ryan,
my hand still hurts. My hand still hurts from that.
Yeah, that's man. You got to set up that scene, right?
That's
so
awesome.
Here we are. We start off down on that roll because Joe is rolling, some 7s on the come out, and I'm like, let's play 220 inside like 4 different times, and he gets all these come out rolls. Anyways, but long story short, here I am. I have the 6 and 8 or whatever it was pressed up like 210. on this monster 6 and 8 hammering. So I'm gonna hammer it. I'm gonna take that money back. He hits the hard 8. I parlay it from I think it was $10 to $100. Maybe a couple rolls later, he hits the hard 8 again. That's my parlay. That's $900 there plus again 210. That's gonna pay me what 240. I don't know what it pays. 280. Anyways, whatever that is, I get both of those hits at one time. I love it. Absolutely love it.
Ryan, you'd be upset at me. The other day I was playing, and this guy at my local throws a lot of hard ways. So typically, I bet the hard ways on him with my normal spread, and I was doing all right. I made money on the guy, but he kept throwing easy numbers, and I know my bets replaced the hard way, but I was getting so frustrated sucking the money off the hard ways. Mind you, this guy's like 30 rolls deep, hadn't hit one hard way yet. So my numbers were pressed up, and I was like, you know what? Like I can't do this anymore. I'm not playing the hard ways. So every time one of them got picked off, I just didn't replace it. So he throws a 3-1-4. My hard 4 goes down. Didn't replace it. 2 rolls later, hard 4. I was like, go figure, right? Very next roll, hard 4 right back. I was like,
dang,
you got to be kidding me. Because I literally was going to, he's one of my favorite people to try the hard way parlay on because he throws so many hard ways.
Yep.
And I was like, I'm gonna do it, and chickened out. I didn't do it.
Well, just to kind of, so I've been told by some of my buddies I should be a salesman because I sell like strategies while I'm playing. Like people love it. I get so intense. I'm passionate about it, right? On two different cruises, literally two different cruises. I went on the Carnival Vista. I was showing a guy what I was doing, and after I hit the hard way parlay, he goes, "What are you doing to do that?" And I taught him how to do it, and I hit it like 6 times on that cruise. I monstered out huge rolls. He ended up hitting it 3 times after he realized what I was doing. He goes, "He'll never go back. He'll always do that forever." He's in my chat. He's in my YouTube group. He's in my Facebook group. And every single time he posts wins, and every time he wins with that hard way parlay. Was there a question on the hard way? So
No, I'm just saying I love that gambit.
Yeah.
I love that gambit.
I think I've made more money on the hard way parlays than on the ATS overall. Like the ATS, when it wins, it's fatty, but it hits more often. And I've done the hard way parlay hit. I did it in Vegas at Planet Hollywood. That guy, that random guy that next to me, never threw the dice in his life, hit me 3 hard 4s. You know what I mean? And like, if you're not afraid to do it, like, you know, it happens. That happens way more often than the ATS does. It's like, and if you can use your change on the easy way wins, just put it back, you know. And I was taking the change off the wins and back to the hard way, tip the dealer, back to the hard way, tip the dealer, bang, bang, 2 hard 4s. Then I'm like, thank you for the $700, dude. Like that was beautiful, you know?
Yeah.
One thing I noticed that you did, Ryan, was that when you had one pressed up and it was a come out roll and they're like hard ways are off unless called working. And you're like, yeah, leave me off, but hop the hard 8. Like you wanted to hop it just in case it hit.
Yeah.
So you threw, I think $10 on it, and because you had 50 or 100, or I don't know what you had on it, but I thought that was very unique because the thing I hate to see is a hard way hit when I'm off, you know? So it was pretty cool so I learned that from you. I learned that from watching you. I'm going to do that.
Well, that only works when you have tables that have hopping ways. So typically when I play on, I usually, for the most part, when I'm usually playing on Carnival, right? They don't have hopping. So mostly for me, I'm always working, 100% always working. And for that exact same reason, there's so many times I've hit that hard way parlay with it pressed up at $100, or the come out roll where it worked for me for the second time because I worked the come out roll. But with the hopping, you could do that, right? You could put limit your risk. Well, let's say you only put like $10 on it, whatever it is. It pays 30 or 15 to 1, 31, whatever the number is right now. I keep thinking off my head, but that's less risk, right, than the $100.
Yep.
You know, this is kind of off topic, but yeah, but real quick, Chris, I want to clarify something. On casinos, like you're saying, don't have hops. Our local here in Washington does not have hops on the felt, but they'll take the hop bet anyway. The carnivals won't take a hop bet, even if you ask for it. Nah. They just won't take it. Really? Okay. I've seen casinos that just
shit anyway.
Wow.
There's a lot of
casinos.
There's a lot of casinos that won't do
won't
the
even
hop
take the
either.
bet. Really? Okay.
Yeah.
I know everybody hates South Point, but South Point will actually let you hop it, and the pit boss will actually do it in the space between the box bets and
that's what our local guy does.
Table.
Our locals do the same thing. There's no on the lamp, but he'll do it for you. Yeah.
He'll put it in a diamond shape. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Jen and Ava, follow up on the hard way parlay.
Yeah, first of all, it was me. I talked to Ryan. He was going to just work his hard ways because he always works the hard ways. And in Vegas, I said, Ryan, don't work it. Just hop it for a nickel or 10. But he's such a D10, he hopped it for 25 instead. So that's how he did it, because he's not used to hopping because of the carnival, right? So the second comment is for Ryan. If you have it at 10, you've parlayed it to 100, and then the next one comes easy, how often do you go back for the 100? Do you just give a couple of tries, or is it indefinite?
No, I only go up to, I go back to whatever that my level is that I'm on my bet for. So for Craps or Cure, I kind of started doing the progressive bet, which means if I have for every $30 or for every green chip, I would have a red chip. So if I have $60 out there on the 6 or 8, which is 2 red chips, I would have $10. If I'm at $90, I'd have 3. If I'm at $100 level, I would have a quarter on there. So I would just go back to whatever my base is of my 6 and 8. Now, I will say this, and I actually did this at Planet Hollywood on my monster roll that y'all didn't see, but I had my 6 and 8 at $100, like it was 120 each. At that point in time, if I'm already collecting a black chip, I'll go straight to the black chip and hard ways. I love that play because I'm already getting paid, and I'll take that chance if I hit that hard way. That is a huge payout win. So I do that if I'm at maybe it's like 180. If it's at a higher level black chip, I will throw a black chip on the hard ways, 100%. But for the most
Nice.
part, if I'm not at that point, I go down just a 10, 15, or whatever that is.
Yeah, it's a cool play, and I know one of the segments during Crash for the Cure was with Shackelford, and they were talking about Big AZ's potential that bonus bet for the hard ways, which I thought was pretty cool. That segment was interesting to see that, and like you guys all said, right, the hard ways hit a lot more than the ATS does, so a side bet involving it would certainly be cool. Craig, I'm gonna come to you for the final perspective, let's say, on playing by yourself, playing with a group, and then we're gonna switch our train of thought a little bit onto why we're at the casino. But Craig, when you go by yourself, when you go with a group, I know I've played with you by ourselves in a group setting, but how does your play differ when you play alone and when you play in a big group?
Well, I'll tell you this. Over a year ago, Ed Robinson came to visit the AC crew, and we did what most newbies do, which I'm still a newbie, which is, Ed, he's a great thrower, but didn't qualify him. And as you know, Chris, Ed did not shoot very well at all during that AC trip over a year ago in August, and got burned on it. Learned my lesson. Then the last year, Craft for the Cure, we all went out, and I did not bad. Still came home with a little bit of profit. But this past Vegas trip was the first time that I didn't qualify people like I should have. I thought I learned my lesson, but I didn't. And I will tell you that I'll probably never play bubble craps again ever. I
I
I am
got
not a fan of bubble
PTSD from the
craps. I
bubble
don't think I
machine.
ever will be, and it's just not for me. But when you're at your tables, and here's the thing, I met with the Craps for the Cure crew Friday night, but I had a bad Friday day session, and so when I got there, I didn't have much to buy in on, so I didn't buy in, and I missed out on Joe hitting the ATS and the small afterwards. I literally stood there next to Ian and talked to him for the entire time. Great conversation, and it was great to hang out with everybody. But no, this was a very humbling experience for me. It made me rethink why I'm doing what I'm doing, because you all know you do things here on the table and they don't translate to the casino at all. You have to prepare yourself for how do you want to play at the casino. And if you're playing with a group of people that you have to treat them like strangers when it comes to qualifying them as you would if you went to a local casino. And that was a very hard lesson that I learned, but very important lesson for a newbie like myself. And I still consider myself a newbie. I mean, I've only been playing for 2 years. Um, so there's still a lot to learn, but playing with a group of people, you have to treat it as if you're going to your local and playing with strangers.
100%, 100%. We're gonna go kind of along the same lines. I know some of you have touched on it while we're talking about it, but mentality when you go, right? So we talked about how we play by ourselves, how we play with a group, but now, and I know Mr. Compman is here, so we're gonna talk about comps. When you go to the casino, right? Are you playing for profit, or are you playing to hit a certain number on the tier credits? Are you trying to get comps for X, Y, or Z? So we're going to talk about that. I'm going to go to Brian first, but I want to remind everybody who's watching and in chat, if you have a question, put a Q in front of it. so John can so bookmark it and we can get to them towards the end, or if they relate to the topic, we'll discuss it. But Brian, I know you are the king of the comps, and I know you play for comps. But when you go, is your mentality comps are the most important thing, profit is what it is, or are you definitely trying to earn a profit, but comps come first?
All right. So some people would call it fool's gold. All right. but I will say, and I say this all the time, so I'll just start off by saying in land-based casinos, you're gonna have to spend thousands to get hundreds of dollars worth of comps, in my experience and in my opinion. I could be wrong. But on a cruise, I feel like that you can spend hundreds to get thousands of dollars worth of comps. So it's almost worth it for me on a cruise, but in a casino, land-based casino, it's not worth it. I do not play for comps in a land-based casino. The second part of that question is, am I trying to win money? When I'm on a cruise, I'm trying to break even. If I can get out of the hand and just sit there and play with their money for as long as possible, and I know you say their money, but if I can get out of the hand and be up a little bit and then lose that and get back to my original bankroll, I count that as a win. And so that's how I think about it. I think overall, whenever I play craps, what I want to do is get out of the hand as quick as possible and with as few rolls, not just as few hits, but as few rolls as possible. And if I can get out of the hand, then I'll just leave it out there. I'll press it, press, collect. But on the cruise, I'm just like, I'm pressing and collecting along the way because I do want to get a couple bullets that are not my own bankroll bullets, if you know. Going on the don't, it's all about that come out game. So I kind of rack up a load of bullets. And so sometimes when I'm on the cruise, I have $200 on the don't and I get knocked off and people are like, oh my gosh, he just got knocked off with $200. But it's like, I was $200 up, so it doesn't matter to me. But like I said, I'm trying to play for free. That's my game.
No, 100%. It's a good way to view it. And I know I've heard you say your tagline there almost. I think you can almost quote that and put it on a t-shirt if you haven't already. With you can spend hundreds to earn thousands on the water, and then when you're on the land, spend thousands to earn hundreds. And I think a lot of people have a similar sentiment. I feel like comps have gotten kind of stingy as of late.
Kind of stingy.
Dinner. You
Kind
want
of
to
stingy.
you want
Comps
to
are
bend
ass
me
right
over
now.
the craps table. You want to bend me over the craps table? Hey, take me out to dinner first. Like, geez.
Mhm.
I'm gonna go to Jen next because I know Jen's got a lot of status, a lot of casinos. But Jen, typically, I'm assuming you're going for profit. But when do you have that kind of mentality of like, well, here I'm trying to earn points versus I'm trying to make profit, or are you focusing on both at the same time? Does one kind of trump the other?
Yeah, I still struggle a lot with the comps versus profit thing. At the end of the day, to get the comps, the free comps, I probably paid in like triple or quadruple or 10 times, right at the table. Like, losing a few thousand at the table and then saying like, oh, but I got like better status now and I'm somebody. It's like you're kind of still nobody, and those few thousand you've lost. Now you've got to explain to your spouse like how they permitted you to go to Vegas for a week to lose lose your butt. So I think comps sucks, but it worked out well this time for Vegas, right? I got like a whole bunch of rooms and I didn't even play. My question was really for Holy. I think cruise-based comps is different, right? Because you feel like you get immediate value out of it and you have a definable amount. But I think with Holy, when I watch his show with Royal, it's like I don't even think you need to get points anymore because you're just all the offers just keep rolling in. It's like roll tide, and it's like a swamp of offers that you get in the mailbox. And I'm not sure you don't need to anymore. And you watch Mark Cruz and Mark, right? They'll like do like 4 back-to-backs, and he's only playing the last one. Because offers.
Yeah. Well, and so let me clarify with that. Yeah, you do get a lot of offers that they email them to you, they mail you postcards, they want you to come back. I rarely use those. I don't even play for those. I only play for the certificates because those come with free play. Like my next cruise, I have $1,000 worth of free play. How long am I going to allow that $1,000 to just ride for that whole cruise? And so the ones that they send to you, they're not guaranteed to be sending them to you, but they do, you know. But they always say they're not guaranteed. But the other thing about it is they're just regular comps. I mean, like they don't come with free play. So I love getting the free play and the dates that I can choose from, because the other ones, the ones that they send to you, there's very few dates and you're kind of locked in. So I'd rather choose. So I'm always playing for that certificate. But yeah, land-based,
question.
Don't even play.
When you're playing you get the $1,000 in free chips. Are you getting comps on playing that, or do you have to play through that 1,000 before that starts?
Yeah, great question. They don't give comps on it. However, it's way different than on the land-based casinos. Land-based casinos, they give you a chip, a $25 value chip, and they say you could play it in the field or you could play it on the pass line. And if a 12 or 2 hits, we're only paying you even money. And then when they do pay you, they take the chip and replace it with a real one. On the cruise, all the free play chips, they stay until they lose. So you could play them on anything. You could put them on the hard ways and they'll stay there until they lose. And they get paid on anything. You can use them for hopping even. And so it's way better to have free play on a cruise with free chips rather than a land-based with chips or those papers they give you to put on the pass line.
Well, the nice thing about too, and the way that you play them, you know, well, with you putting your $100 of your free play on the don't to do your light in the darkness, like that's a genius move. But the thing, it's cool, but you're only getting half the comps that way. You're just getting comp for your right side play. But it's nice for you as a person to be like, hey, that's free play and it's free play. It's like you're double free playing. It's pretty cool. Like you're protecting yourself, and who cares? That's awesome. I mean, when have you gotten $1,000 in free craps play on a land-based casino ever? Like over your whole life.
Never.
I mean, besides Jen, the rest
Jen.
of us aren't getting $1,000 in freaking free play. I mean, we're getting nickels. I mean, it's pretty. The cruises are very generous. They're super generous with that, and it's like even like well, I qualified for for a year of Prime. Prime is freaking expensive on a cruise. Like if you're a drinker, that's a couple $1,000 for it's like $1,400 for 2 people to drink. That's a huge benefit. That they're giving you.
Yeah,
you can.
And the fact that all the food's included, and you go to your land base and you try to, hey, can I get a buffet? And they're like, no buffet for you. Soup for you.
You can have some salt.
But the thing is, imagine playing for one session. Like right now, Royal Caribbean, they make it's right up. And same thing with Celebrity, by the way. It's right up in front. They're like, get this many points and you get a free cruise. I could play for one session, 4 hours, and have a choice of like 10 different cruises. That's about a $1,500 or $2,000 cruise. So sometimes I take $300 for my first session, and with $300, walk away with $300 and have a free cruise in one 4-hour session. So the reason why I play more is for the free play, so that when I go on a cruise the next time, I have $1,000 worth of free play to start off with, and it just rolls. It's just like it just adds up after.
Follow-up question for you, Brian. Duracell just asked it in chat. On average, how many hours of play does it take to earn a free cruise from Royal?
Like I said, you can probably get a free cruise in 4 hours, but I try to do between 3 to 4 hours minimum if I do a session. So and it depends on your average bet. Like on Royal, whatever your average bet is, that's what you'll get in an hour. So if you have $200 on the table, you'll get 200 points in 1 hour. 800 points is a free cruise. 1,200 is the next level. Like interior, then a ocean view with a window, and then you go to 2,000 after that, and it's a balcony. You go to after 2,000 is 3,000, and then it's more to choose from and more free play. After 3,000, it's 4,000. From 4,000, the big jump is to go from 4,000 to 6,500. 6,500 is like $750 worth of free play. And that would probably take maybe 5 hours a night. But the thing is, you go to dinner, you go to a show. After the show, you go to the casino. Like the last thing you do is the casino, and then you stay there until they close, and then you wake up and do it all over again. So it's not like you're planted in the casino the whole time and not experiencing the cruise.
Yeah, I think that's one thing that I think a lot of people kind of get caught up in, and like I know I've kind of struggled with that in the past on cruises. Not trying not to sit at the table, and enjoy the actual cruise. Right, you're going to dinner, you're going to the shows, you're going to excursions and stuff. On my last cruise, I didn't have to worry about that because it was in Europe, and you're not allowed to gamble when they're docked anyway. You have to be a certain distance away from land in order for them to actually open up the casino. But I know Royal's pretty generous. I'm gonna go to Ryan because I know you are on Carnival a lot. So what's your experience been on Carnival with cruising? And then also when you go to the casino, are you looking for more comp-based results? Are you looking for the profit results? Or are you looking for kind of both, but one outweighs the other one?
Yeah, I'm 100%, especially when I'm on a cruise, I'm 100% playing for comps. My average bet size is pretty high up there, right? I'm usually at I'm asking the dealers. I'm asking the dealer how much am I being rated for? I'm friendly with the dealers. I'm friendly with the pitfalls. I'm making bets for them so they will rate me higher. But from my experience, I've had a absolutely great experience with comps. Basically, after the night two, I'm getting free steak dinners. And this is for Carnival, right? Basically, by night two, I'm getting free steak dinners, if not every night there or the seafood place. If my wife, if she comes by, she's usually getting 2 to 3 massages. 100% free. Absolutely. Say, hey, you need a massage? Literally, this happened one night, right? We're sitting there at the craps table. My wife's usually sitting. Before she would sit behind me and not play, but now she's kind of gotten more into playing. But before she would literally sit on the windowsill. This was the Carnival Mardi Gras last year, and I'll sit there playing. This is probably night 3, and the casino manager, casino host came by and says, "Micah, what you doing sitting down?" She knows it's my name. Micah, what you doing sitting down? She goes, "I'm just watching him play." She goes, "Why don't you go get a massage?" She sends her for a massage, literally because of our play, right? So you were getting steak dinners. Of course, we had drink pack. We get the drink stuff, but all for free. But I don't drink at all, so that doesn't really matter to me. Everything I drink is virgin. But you still get the daiquiris and stuff like that. But I also get free play, right? So basically, every offer that I get. So if it's a inside cabin, like on my offers, if it's an inside cabin, I get more free play. That's usually like $1,000 of free play, and that free play is kind of the same thing what Brian was talking about on his boat. But I do get the actual odds of that chip, right? So if I put it on the 4, I get it's over a $20 bet. I get 2 to 1 odds, so I get full odds on that bet on the casino play chip. I don't know if you get rated or not. I've never really asked them about that, but you get the true odds of whatever you're playing for. Now, there are some ships where they actually give you cash. So the Carnival Elation here in Jacksonville. So Jacksonville's like an hour and a half, 2 hours from my house. If I ever go on that boat, they actually give you $500 cash. But if you go up to the balcony rooms, typically the max I'll get is $500 free play. But every single cruise that I take, I get a balcony, and typically, and actually on my next cruise, I'm actually getting 2 balconies, one for me and one for my wife, and we're both getting free play. So both of us, I'll get $300 free, or I get $500 free play. She's gonna get $300 free play. I always look for the free play on my cruises when I go, and we always get free stuff. I mean, I'm telling you, from my experience, I've had a great experience with it, 100%.
Ryan,
Awesome.
that means you could take somebody with you, right? If you got 2 balconies, I mean, come on.
I'm still trying to get you to go on a cruise with me in January and February. I gave you 2 options there.
I'm booked out.
Utopia, right there. 2
Maybe,
options.
maybe.
You got to start booking Brian for 2026. It's 2024.
Yeah,
You
no
got to start
kidding.
booking him for 2026 if you want to get on his schedule.
I told him a year in advance.
Craig, when you play, are you looking for comps? You looking for profit? A little bit of both?
I'm looking for profit, but I'm enjoying the comps. I'm a prolific player at Caesars. They've been very generous. I have never really had a problem getting a whole hotel comped. Um, I wish Southwest would do comps because the flights are never free. They're never discounted. The one time, I think it was Jen, last year's Craps for the Cure, Jen sent out an email, hey, Southwest is doing their 40%. And then I found out that Southwest does do their 40% in June for the fall and August for the winter. So, but those are the only times they do the 40%. They do it twice a year. Um, but yeah, I obviously I go for profit, but the comps are real nice, especially when they have like 2 times rewards comps as well. Those are really nice because that's just eating for free. And that's the best. I love using rewards points for. I don't ever use them for uh, the coupon for bets. I always use them for food. So I enjoy the comps that come with it, but I'm not really going for comps. I just happen to lose a lot and then get comps.
Hey, hey, can I say one real quick thing? And Jenny can attest to this. I'm sorry, I don't mean to interrupt you there, buddy. But but when we went to Biloxi, they at the Hard Rock Cafe, they gave us everything. I'm talking about anywhere you wanted to eat, whether it was a steak restaurant, the candy shop, anything you wanted at the Hard Rock Cafe. We ate for free the entire weekend. The Sugar Shack, we ate milkshakes, and it was probably the best comp value. And again, Jenny might be able to let you know. I think they actually reimbursed some people with plane tickets or with free play because of that. So,
Oh, well,
yeah,
but how much did you have to buy in for? Hundreds or thousands?
But we made
I mean,
thousands. We made thousands, Brian. We like nobody lost money in Biloxi at all. So, and I won't out Ryan, but he made probably more than most of us. So, not only did they comped, you didn't spend a dime on food except for tips, of course, not a dime. And if you did by mistake, they reimbursed it. And people just made like just hand over fist. And that was my other comment. You know how someone was asking, Duracell was asking how many hours. When you do it on one of John's cruises, right, or one of the PCH hosted cruises, because then you've got other players playing with you, and it doesn't feel like you're grinding out comps for like 7 hours. It just feels like you're hanging out with your buddies, and then when your wife calls you to have dinner, you just go and have dinner, and sometimes you can lure her over to talk with the other wives and all that stuff. It's actually the best time I've ever had playing craps is with John and the PCH crew and the craps crew. So if you guys are going in January, I'd like to try to go with you. But yeah, I'm already booked. But it's you win money, you get comps, you get free cruises, and you have a good time. And our spouses get to hang out, and you still get to spend time with everybody. So it's a really good time.
So Jen, I have one more question. I have a question for you specifically. How long are you going to keep letting Ryan call you Jenny?
The little ones call me Jenny, so when Ryan calls me that, I just think of him as like my little brother. So it's okay. I'm used to it.
Well, and I did want to say that I'm not like a hater on land-based casinos. Like I stay for free and play for free like every month if I wanted to go to like Sahara. I'm like I try to make sure I focus at least on one comp land-based. So I'm not a hater, just so you know.
Oh, we know. We just know you prefer the water, which is all good, well and good. You do whatever you want. I know we're gonna we're talking about comps and stuff. We're gonna switch gears a little bit because I know Skill wants to talk about some strategies and stuff. So Skill, I'm coming to you next on the strategy. But again, reminder to anybody who has questions and stuff, put a Q in front of it. We will address some questions here after we do some strategy talk, and then we'll get to the questions. So Skill, what's on your mind strategy wise?
Well, Ken Knows Gambling put out a new video just recently, and it was revisiting an old classic from Craps Nation that that 36 Full Press did or came up with, and it was the blender, the 3-point blender. And I just wanted to get people's opinion. A lot of us go back and forth with wanting to know what we do when we're down and we're trying to recoup and whatnot, and what are some of the better strategies for recouping our losses, and just seeing that 3 point blender strategy again brought back a lot of good memories. And I was just curious, I was going to address the panel. What do they think of what are some of their favorite recovery strategies, and what do they think of the 3 point blender if they've actually tried it? And I just
That's
wanted to
the
just throw that out there.
that's the one that he added the ladder to. Is that right?
Yeah, he
Yep.
added a ladder to it as well.
Yeah, yeah.
There's different variations of it, but
And
the baseline of it
sorry,
is you have a don't, and then you go through the DC, and then once the DC travels, then you hedge that, and then you go through the DC again for having your don't pass hedge against the DC, the don't come, and then you let that travel. So you're getting two different no numbers up there anywhere. On any of the box numbers, and then once you have that second no number established, then you hedge your points with for the don't pass as well. So you're actually hedging all three numbers, and the way he plays it is that you're wanting the numbers to hit, and you get your no number falls, but your place number pays for that, and you get the little difference between that. And so it's quote unquote more difficult to lose. So it's a very, very, very grindy way of playing. But I was just curious if anyone else has tried that, and what y'all's opinion of it was.
we go to Joe first. Joe, have you tried the 3 point blender? And if not, what's your typical go-to recovery strategy?
I have played 3 point blender years ago when I was doing bubble crafts, and I lost my ass on it. Um, to be completely honest, I mean, in theory, it works really well, but you get knocked off on a don't quite a bit, on the come outs when you're not fully hedged on both sides. So you do lose a lot on that. So that's my experience with the 3 point blender. I did see his video though, just what was it, 2 days ago when it came out. But my strategy for recovery is actually getting off the table sooner than most people. So in other words, I will start at a base bet, I'll build them up, and then I'll regress or take my money down. I just sit and watch. And I figure if I start off, say, 96 across, and I could pull off $160, there's $70 profit. And I'm happy with that. I'm not there for the home run. I'm there for the consistent wins and building up on those consistent wins. And to kind of go back real quick on the comp question, Chris, I do play for profit, not for comps, because I play at a Native American casino, and they don't give me comps at all. And I don't get to the corporate casinos like a lot of you guys do on a regular basis, maybe 3-4 times a year in Chicago, and then now in Vegas. So my comp worth is not very, very high. So I play more for the profit, and that's kind of why I get off the table faster, because if you stay on the table, one of two things is going to happen. Either you're going to win a huge amount because somebody had a huge roll, or you're going to lose a lot because all the money that you put on in presses, you're going to lose that. So again,
Yep.
I get off the table faster than normal.
No, I
And I
agree.
think everybody here
Yeah.
that watched me play saw me do that quite often, and I did make profits on the majority of the rolls down there by doing that.
Yeah, no, I agree. I mean, I play for comp sometimes, but mostly it's for profit, and I could care less because they don't give much. And I find that a lot of people who like the big comps usually spend a lot of money to get said comps. So I'd rather walk away with a profit myself. Personally, I've never played the 3 point blender. I've seen it, I've run it on my table. I don't like it. Recovery wise, it's either I'm leaving the table or I keep doing what I'm doing. I don't really change anything. I may add some, depending what I'm doing on that session. If I'm playing more light, I might add some dark. If I'm playing dark and I'm getting killed, I might add some light into it. But more often than not, I'm not like drastically changing things. And my experience with the blender has been brutal because of those scenarios where, you know, what could go wrong goes wrong, and I get my ass handed to me. But again, I've never actually played it in person, so I don't know. But
The
Jen,
biggest
what's your
problem with
thoughts
it,
on
honest.
recovery strategies?
Yeah.
Okay, John. What's your thoughts
I
on
would say the
blender?
biggest
Your
problem with
point,
the blender is that you get beat and the recovery is so freaking slow. Like even at $100 don't pass, right? And and it goes to the 6. Okay, fine. You put $90 on the 6, you're gonna win 10 or 5. You get burned for $100, that's your 10 wins behind, right? It's when you get beat, there's no coming back. And of course everybody thinks that laddering is the way to go. You know, not everybody has 10K to buy in for to win $15 at a time, right? And to me, that's where that thing falls short. If you catch a run where you're not getting picked off, sure, you can make $5 or $8 or $7, whatever the thing is at the $25 level, 10, 15 times on a bunch of shooters and go home with $100 in your pocket. And that's what Dak used to always do on his videos. But you can't, like I said, you lose to don't, you're done. You're 10 wins upside down. And if you don't ladder your way out of it and catch another good run, and you got to catch a good run for a long time to get out of it. That's why I don't like pure hedging. I'd rather do what Brian does and go $100 don't. And instead of just hedging off the 9 or the 6 or the 9 or whatever it is for the one thing, doing a cross bet. And, you know, okay, if the 7 comes, you win $4, but you got, you know, a couple of $20 wins coming your way that are meaningful wins that you can get out. That's a better way to play a hedge. If you're going to play a hedgy wedgy, at least make some money. I can't do it $7 at a time. And on the $30 blender, it's $2 at a time. You're putting a $24 6 out there, and you're going to win $2, maybe. That feels, or you'll lose $2. I guess is the worst. To me, it makes no sense long term. And I think Toro did a video. Didn't El Toro do a video like El Toro style where every bet was $500 and he still didn't make any money? Like it's really hard to grind that way. And when you're grinding with such a clearly opposed hedge, the comeback just takes so much longer to get out of it. So that's my 2 cents. I'm sorry to cut you off there, Chris.
No, you're good. It's a very valid point. So I think a lot of the hedgy strategies, you're like trying to not lose, but by not losing, you're also not winning, and you're just sitting there. And like, I mean, a lot of people can tell you with the hedges, like when you start playing them, right? Even if it's a don't with odds and you're still light side, once that don't gets picked, it's hard to recover from it. Same thing with you're playing light side and it's a dark table, it's hard to recover that kind of stuff. So like the hedging to hedge to then hedge your hedge to then hedge your hedge again. You're just hedging your bankroll. Why are you even playing? Honestly, like that's my thoughts on some of those kind of things. And I know some people might be fine with playing for $2. I'm not. Like, I'm not going to sit there with $20 bets to win $2. Like, if I'm going to do that, I'm going to go sit on the sports book and place a minus $1,000 bet.
It's not even the $2.
Watch a game or something.
Yeah, it's beyond the $2, right? The thing is, getting a don't pass through is, and like Brian said, man, it is work. Like you got $100 don't pass, you are sweating, right? And you're like, oh God, I got it through. And now I got the hammer. I got a 60% chance to win $100, and I'm gonna go. Let's put $90 out there and win 5. Like that's you worked all that time for $5. Like to me, that just, you know what I'm saying? Like if you're gonna do like the all day strategy or the thing that Jen was doing, the perpetual comes or the horseman, at least you got some right side action that can make you money, right?
Yeah.
But that pure straight up hedge, man, that's just like, I don't know. If I get a don't pass through, I want to do a little dance. I don't want to make it be worth $250. That just feels wrong.
Unless it's that day where you put in the $100 DP and then it gets picked off.
Totally.
Well, and I think the one that Skill was talking about, I think he was at the $100 level, and so it was a difference of $40 if you got paid like on a 6 and 8 and stuff. So it was a little bit more, and then when you laddered up and it's 200, and then you're getting paid, you know, you're getting your 200 back, or you're at least getting paid like on a 4, and you have $200 on the 4, you're losing 200, but you're getting 200. So if you're going to do it, you have to do it at a higher level. But that's the way he did on the video.
Yeah.
That's the thing with a lot of the hedging strategies that, like, yes, they work and you can pick up a couple bucks here and there, but unless you're playing them at black chip or higher, it really doesn't pay necessarily to play that way for the sole purpose that, like, if you're playing green chips, you're picking up white chips. You're playing, close to black chip. Well, now we're picking up red chips. So it's, one, I guess people have different thoughts on like the hedges, but Jen, what are your thoughts on 3-point blender hedging?
I thought Ken's video was very fun, but it was successful 100%. I know for sure it's because he hit the 4s and 10s. If he had hit the 6 and 8s, then he would have never caught up for when his DCs went down in flames and couldn't get set. But that, I feel like the 3-point blender was one of the first things that I learned as a craps player, and it's a real rookie strategy because you're just scared and you're grinding for a couple bucks. Like, who cares about that? And I did it at $10 level on bubble craps, and that's the only one where you could probably pound it out fast enough where you could still win $100 and get out of there. But otherwise, it's not worth it unless you can do black chips or purple chips. Like, if I'm going to do that, I'll do the purple chips, but I'm 100% agreeing with D8, Duracell. I get the 3 DCs through. I am not doing anything to offset it. In fact, I don't even like doing 6, 7, 8 sometimes, where people do like an equal amount on the 6 and 8 versus their DP. I'm like, I always want to be in favor of the don't. And so my favorite recovery strategy is the simplest one ever and the most boring. I'll just do a flat DP, and almost always I'll win back $1,000 really quickly, even if I get picked off a lot, like with Joe and the King 7s. The don'ts will be the champion because you'll hit a pocket where people are just PSOing like 10 times in a row, and you're like, this is like printing money. So don't even offset your large don't with a 6 and 8. Nothing. Just if you need to recover, just have a flat out don't. And then they don't, like, the land-based casinos aren't like the cruise ships. They do offset you. Like the Penn stations, they offset you. Sunset, they were kind of doing that. And I think like Caesars is starting to go, well, that's an offset. I'm like, no, my don't 9 is independent from my 6, 8, 5. Like, it makes no sense for you to hedge it off, right? But I think the blender is really great for Brian. I mean, if you want comps on the ship and Royal won't dock you for having both sides, I mean, that may be a really great strategy to grind and to win tons of comps, Brian.
No, they will. If you have a like a no 9 and you place the 9, they'll like,
yeah, it should
they'll
be
make
0.
That's like just playing pass and don't pass. They won't give you points for that.
Okay. All right. Yeah. And I feel like, what John just said about like the don't plus going across, that's like the storm. And I feel like with the storm, you either have like some success or like great success or 0 success, because you just get crushed by either the come outs or you get picked off, and not one single number will hit across. And all you've done is just break even, and then lose. So you can only break even, and lose. And it's like, it's just not a good strategy for that sequence. Like, there's always a time for it, but
remember the storm. The storm makes all the sense. Yeah, the storm made all the sense in the world. So I played it for a month and lost almost every single day. And I was like, I can't believe this thing is getting its butt kicked that bad, and it just got destroyed. It was like, that should have been the biggest eye opener to everybody. Yeah.
I was referring to the storm. I didn't want to call out my own strategy because, I mean, that would be stupid. But no, I'm playing. But like I said in the videos and stuff, like, people saw it too. I rolled it out and absolutely crushed it. Like, I mean, I made that thing go to 0 a couple times. And that's the thing with like the hedges, right? You have so much money out there, but like, are you actually winning anything with the money that's out there? 9 times out of 10, you're not. You're playing to break even, and you're playing scared. And that point, why are you playing? Like, genuinely ask yourself that question. That's what I'd be asking myself, that question. Like, why am I here? If I'm going to put $100 don't, and then I'm going to go, let's say, 110 inside, and I'm sitting there and I'm not doing anything with it, or if I'm going DP, then I'm trying to get a DC set, I'm going to offset these bets to win $2. What are you doing? Like, genuinely, my thing. What are you doing? But Ryan, I know you don't play a lot of Dark Side, but what's your thoughts on the Hedgie McHedgerson's Hedgie?
Yeah, I'd never play Dark Side. Almost, I mean, I can't think of any other time where I've ever played Dark Side. And I don't hedge. I would say the only time I ever hedge is on a come out roll. If I have the ATS and I have my hard ways working or something like that, I'll try to cover like $10 or something on the either hop into sevens or something like that just to cover. But no, I typically don't hedge. I don't play the dark side. And I think John and I had this conversation, I don't know, maybe 4 or 5 months ago. I personally don't like the dark side because you have to beat it twice. It's not just the 8 times on the come out roll where you have the 7 or 11, but let's just say it does go to the 8, right? There's another 5 times you've got to not roll, or 5, whatever probability of 5 rolls, that it doesn't hit that point again, right? So you're basically you're still fighting the dark side every single time, every single roll. And I remember doing an interview with David from Casino Quest, and he told me, I asked a question. I said, when you've seen people winning the most money, what are you watching them doing? And he said, it's all about hitting the numbers. It's not winning. You're not going to win playing the dark side. It was just when people are storm rolling the money on hitting the numbers. And that's typically how I play. That's just I guess that's my style of playing, I reckon. Not a dark side player at all. Don't like it. Even though I know the odds say it's in your favor, I've never found. It feels like every single time I have tried it. One example, I'll give you one story, and we'll move on. Everybody says they like to see a qualified shooter before they put money on it, right? So what I did was I saw a girl. I think it was at Flamingo in Las Vegas. She was slinging the dice as hard as she could sling her. And I said, you know what? Let's put me a don't come. So I put a $50 don't come, and it sets the point, and she knocks it off. I said another don't come. Sets the point, she knocks it off. I ended up making $600 on her. I went 110 inside, and I made $600 off of her. And she was slinging the dice as hard as she can sling them. And it knocked me off about $150 before I went inside on her. And then I spread them off, and I still made huge money. So if I had just played my normal system or played the regular and not played the dark side, I'd even made more because I've been pressing up more. So that's my experience with dark side. That's not my only experience, but for the most part, I'm almost never played dark side. I mean, in fact, people ask me, why don't you ever throw any dark side systems or strategies out there? Because I don't know any. I mean, the 3-point dolly. I don't know. I just don't know any dark side max odds. That's all you can really do.
Yeah. No, it's definitely an interesting way to play. And no right way to play, no wrong way to play. Whatever way you play is your right way to play. So we're gonna switch gears now to some questions because we've gotten some good questions in chat. So we'll go over that. So again, if you have any questions, make sure you put a Q in front of it. We'll kick them around the panel. We're gonna go to Durslow's question first. Has anyone been watching the Dice Data channel? Recently put out a strategy that had a DP come DC strategy, less than a 1.5% house edge with 99% of the shooters only needing like $600. I have seen this video, and I have seen the Dice Data channel. Definitely some cool stuff on there. So Joe, have you seen that video? What are your thoughts on the Dice Data channel if you have seen it? And what are your thoughts on a DP come DC type strategy?
I have not seen the video. And the closest strategy that I do play on a routine basis is the Horseman, but I don't do the DP. I do a DC bet, and I do 3 count bets and just let it resolve. So, I find that a lot of the rolls are either super long or they're super short. There's very few medium-sized rolls. And when we were in Vegas a couple weeks ago, there was a lot of short rolls by a lot of people. So it was a very profitable strategy. I mean, I was making $30 to $50 on each shooter, which doesn't sound like a lot of money to some people, but to me, that was enough to, accumulatively make a profit throughout the day, and I made enough money to pay for the food and my flight and all that stuff, just by basically doing that. So,
Jen, what are your thoughts on? Have you seen the channel? If not, what are your thoughts on the DP come DC?
Yeah, so actually that's my wife's go-to strategy, and I have played that before, but we play it at really big chips because you've got it's almost the same as Hedgman, the horseless. Oh God,
this Horseman.
the endless horseman, yeah. But it's like you end with a DC so that you have a negative, right?
Extra
you have a
7.
don't, you have a come, and then a don't. Yeah. So it and they're all independent. So it also works great for long rolls. It works really well for PSOs and one-hit wonders. So my wife literally plays that. And when we started, we just did green chips. So it's $100 average bet. And, she only plays like an hour and she has enough action. And, she got an interior cabin free offer for Royal Caribbean. So it works. And then now she's moved to like black chips. Like now she's really brave. And so she'll buy them for $1,000 and she almost never uses it. $1,000. You almost always win, right, honey? She almost always wins. And now she's been doing it at black chips, which I was like, whoa, this lady comes in with $1,000 and she'll like cash out for 13 and she's out of there, right? She's really great. But yeah, that's a good one. It'll last you all day. Very little bankroll needed.
Craig, what are your thoughts on DP come DC type strategy?
I have no thoughts on it. There you go.
Love that.
A man of so many words.
We're gonna go to the next question. Kick it around the panel. So Anthony asked, what does it mean to qualify a shooter? I hear that a lot. So we're gonna talk about qualifying a shooter. Ryan, what do you do to qualify a shooter?
Nothing. He does.
I'm the worst person to ask that.
That's why I came to you first. I came to
Doesn't
you
qualify
first.
to make 20 inside.
I'm gonna spill the beans, dude. While I try to set dice, I try to control dice. I still think it's a bunch of hogwash. So to me, I've seen the long shooters, I've seen the random rollers, I've seen the dice setters all throw sevens, PSOs. And I've seen them all. Like I said just a while ago, the girl slinging the dice. She rolled for 45 minutes and I ended up making huge money on her. Man, I just don't think I don't qualify any shooters. I want to try to make as much money as fast as I can. And because you never know when by the time you qualify a shooter, you may have missed a big shooter.
Yeah.
Right. How many times? I think John just said a while ago. I think it was him who said a while ago. The guy was just shooting the dice or whatever it was, and he made great on him. Anybody could just shoot dice and just throw them, and they can hit the numbers that you want them to hit. I don't know. I don't want to call it. I don't want to call it a dice setting conversation. So I'm just going to say I personally don't qualify anybody. If you're rolling a number that I like, I'll like you. Sorry.
Brian, do you qualify shooters or you kind of just swing at the hip and go?
Well, there's two things I have to say about this is number one, I think we should treat every roll as if it's the monster roll. Okay. So what that means is forget about how many rolls somebody has to do to be qualified. I qualify people in a different way. If they don't have any etiquette or they're being rude or they're just like, if they're just not like, if I don't want to play with them, I disqualify them and I won't even bet on them. I'll go use the restroom and come back. That's how I qualify shooters. How are they interacting with the dealers, with the other players, and with the game? And if they're not, I'm not even going to put my money out there. And sometimes they have great rolls, but I just can't get myself to bet with or against somebody. Sometimes I'll be like, man, I should go big on the don't with this person because I hate him. But then they'll like roll a giant number,
Yeah.
So anyway, that's me. That's my qualification.
Yep. Joe, I'm coming to you next. I'm just going to say for me, for qualifying shooters, it comes down to consistency. So consistency in a toss, consistency in a landing zone, energy of the dice. Even if you're hitting the same landing zone, are you throwing them low? Are you throwing them high? Are you varying that? So for me, it's a consistency thing. That's what I'm looking for. Does it necessarily change how I bet? No, because I've watched plenty of good shooters throw sevens. I've watched plenty of good shooters have good rolls. But that's just my definition of qualifying somebody is, are they doing something the same way for what they're doing? That's how I qualify shooters, whether it be good or bad. I may qualify as you're a really shitty shooter, but you're consistently shitty. And I love it because I'm on the don't, and that's great. But you could be a good shooter, and I'm lights out on you. So it depends. Joe, the expert on the Black Belt series of dice shooting with CMJ Joe. Go check out a show at 9 o'clock in the morning. Or sorry, 8 o'clock in the morning. No, 9 o'clock in the morning. 9 o'clock in the morning, my time. You guys can qualify your timing for that. But Joe, how do you qualify a shooter?
Very similar to you, Chris. I'm looking for consistency. I'm looking for how they treat the dice. I mean, if you see a person set the dice, and they pick up the dice really nice, and then they do the shake and bake, I'm not betting on them.
Chicken
um,
feeders.
yeah, I mean, you see, I'll tell you, but if you see them set the dice and you know that they're setting it properly, that's one measure of qualification for me. Like you said, good energy levels, consistent landing zones. Are the dice landing in similar areas every single time? Those types of things. And then above and beyond that, do they have consistent rolls? As a dice influencer, I know I can't avoid the 7, but my goal is to try to starve it off as long as I can. Are these people doing that? And if they are, then I'll bet more money on them. If not, then horseman, here we come. So
There you go. All right, we're gonna go to the next question from Dustin. Has anyone been treated badly after an incorrect payout? Dylan, you ever been treated badly after an incorrect payout?
No, I haven't. I can't think of a time that I have. So
Okay.
I would say no.
Craig, you ever been treated badly after a payout?
No, not for a payout, but Jen was there when I was treated badly by the dealer in Harrah's.
I was there too, yes.
For just asking the people if they liked what they were seeing, to throw some chips my way. They said I was rude. They said
Yeah,
I
you
should be
were being
ashamed of
rude.
myself.
You were being rude. I'm kidding. John, you ever been treated badly after a payout issue?
No, I've treated people badly for paying me out poorly, which I own. And that's caused some dissension. But I recover from that and I end up tipping better after that, and it makes it okay. Like, people have bad days and I have bad days too, right? And that it happens. You just got to deal with it the right way. Like, if it was a bad payout in their favor and you're like, hey, stop it. And if you get attitude, I don't know. I mean, I don't think I've ever been treated badly following that. They've always come to apologize to you if it's bad in their favor, if bad in your favor, or they made a mistake against you and you call it out. I've gotten apologized to because I generally deal with that pretty professionally. Once in a while, they go off a little bit, you know what I mean? But I tend to make that back by tipping afterwards, like just to kind of quell this. That's all you can do to quell the situation. Just ride it out good.
Yeah, I want to do one clarification here for anybody who has a incorrect payout. Don't touch the money. Address it right away with the money on the table. Do not touch it. And if you do touch it, put it right back down. Once it goes to your rack, then it becomes a whole issue. They got to look at cameras and all that kind of stuff. I have had some issues with payouts. But it was one of those things where somebody's having a bad day type thing. And I tried to be as nice as possible about it. I was like, can you please recheck the amount you gave me, because I knew the colors were off. And the first time they made a mistake, I was like, that's fine, whatever. And they were kind of snarky, but then it happened multiple times in the same session, and then I was getting frustrated after a while because I had to pay attention not only to the game and everything, but now I have to make sure every single bet that you're giving me is paid out correctly. And it kind of took away from my experience, but it wasn't because it was like a new dealer or something. It was somebody who had a really, really bad attitude. And then every time they would pay me, they'd be like, oh, is this right? And I'd be like, okay, but you've made 3 mistakes at this point. So
they're just trying to be a jerk in that case, right?
Yeah, exactly. So before I go to the next question, anybody had a bad payout issue? Joe, go ahead.
I have found multiple situations where that is the case, and it's not the payout that is the problem. It's the box person or the dealer that has to be right all the time, whether they are or not. That's where the problem comes. It's the attitude that they throw because you are correcting their work, and that's where the problems come, is from what I've seen, because I've run into a lot of box people that they have that ego trip. They want to be right all the time. I was in Green Bay the other night, and there was a newbie. I mean, this guy had never played, standing right next to me, and they were robbing him blind, saying, "Put money here, put money there, put money," and he was just throwing it out like candy. And I just kind of put my hand like this and started telling him, dude, stop doing that. They're robbing you. This is what you need to do, And he started following what I was, and he actually gave a tip at the end of the night because I helped him. But, I mean, yeah, I've seen it numerous times. Not always to myself, but to other people as well, so.
Yep. All right. Ryan, go ahead.
I was actually going to say an experience I just had last weekend when we were at Craps for the Cure. I went in for an early session, really before anybody was there. I think it was on that Sunday morning, or maybe it was a Saturday morning, whatever day it was. And I don't never turn my bets off. I usually follow the puck, but in general, it don't matter if it's 10 rolls, 15 rolls, 3 rolls. I typically don't ever turn my bets off. And you know me, I'm typically an aggressive bettor. And I had 110 inside with $10 on the 410. I was just trying to practice shoot a little bit. And apparently I pressed up my 6, and I gave him money to press up my 6. And he apparently thought I turned my bets off. And they went to go pay, and their next roll was a 4, and they didn't pay me. I said, you didn't pay me for your 4. He said, your bets are off. I said, I didn't turn my bets off. They said, yeah, you said your bets are off. I said, no, ma'am. Oh, so I said, no, sir. I said, I don't ever turn my bets off. They said, he heard in the Pit Boss label show, they heard you turn your bets off. I said, listen, I'm not sure what you heard. I just pressed up my 6. I said, but I did not turn off my bets. And I'm very respectful. I'm always yes, sir, no, ma'am, yes, ma'am. I never raise my voice. I'm never upset at anybody, especially dealers, nobody. But that Pit Boss got so aggravated at me. I actually heard it from the casino host, my casino host that booked that trip, Eric, through the grapevine. Apparently they heard that. And they came back, and somebody came back to me and asked, hey, Ryan, did you have a run-in with a dealer? I'm like, I wouldn't say it was a run-in, no. But I could tell you this, about 4 rolls later, I went ahead and pulled all my bets down. After that roll, I turned all my bets off, or pulled my bets down and left the table. But it wasn't making the situation better. Like, I even tried putting place bets down with the pit balls. I said, listen, I'm not sure what's happened between me and this situation. I said, I'm gonna throw your dealer some bets. I said, but I can go and tell you, I don't ever turn off my bets. They ended up paying me out, but you could tell there was some extreme animosity between that pit boss and me. And I'm not a controversial person at all. I'm usually friendly. Everybody likes me. Everybody's talking. I'm laughing. I'm joking. But she didn't like me too much, and I ended up leaving the table about 4 rolls after that. So
well,
that was my most recent experience.
So one thing we talked about with David at Craps for the Cure, if you all remember this conversation, Craps, and he's as dealer, Craps, and he was talking in the security segment, right? Craps is a verbal game for the most part, right? So the camera can't tell what you say. All it can tell is, when bets are correctly sized, if the lammers are out there, that kind of thing. And I asked him, like, why isn't there some kind of universal, like you do in blackjack, no, or right? So what I've been, and because, go back to the qualifying conversation, now that I have gotten convinced by somebody, Jenny, I said Jenny, to do the 1 count on people, right? What I've been doing is saying, hand out, and I go, I'm off for 1 roll. And I actually do that right over the come, off for 1. And then when it comes in and the roll comes in, I go, light them up. And I put my hand up like this, light them up. And that's what I say to them. And then the lammer comes down. So there's never a problem in my mind. If I had to go to the camera, they saw me do the sign. So if there was ever a screw up, which they'll screw it up. And I got paid once when I shouldn't have got paid in Vegas, right? And nothing came of it, right? But if there was an issue, I would have had my hand on camera doing the thing. And I think you can protect yourself. And kind of that's where a lot of payout problems happen, is off on, off on, off on. That there's that's where I have all the arguments I've ever seen have been that. It's never about the pennies, like a screwed up payment. They'll always give you the extra nickel, but if it's, I was off, I was on, I was off, I was on, that's where you end up having major arguments like you experienced. So
I just thought it was crazy that she got so aggravated. And again, I'm not disrespectful at all. I never have been. I never will be. I'm not that person. But for her to call or somehow or another didn't get back to the casino host that asked me, I'm like, I don't know why it got that blown out of proportion. It wasn't that big of a deal. other than me just telling them, no, I never turn my bets off. And again, 4 rolls later, I pulled everything down. The putt went off, pulled everything down where I 7 down. I can't remember which, but I colored up and left the table. Apparently, if I'd have stayed there, one of the guys rolled like for 40 minutes after I left, so I never should have left.
Ryan.
Most of the good dealers will actually say to you, all right, they're off until you tell me to turn them back on.
Right.
And that's good casino play.
Ryan,
Yeah.
I wanted to interject there for a second. These box people, if they are really giving you attitude, it's because you have to think of it from their perspective as well. People are trying to get by with everything that they can, and they see all kind of stuff that's not just coming from, it's not coming from you personally. It's from all of these other players that are trying to not play correctly, and try
Pulling
and
over.
try to get by with murder, and there's players there's countless players that try to get by with every just anything, and it's like gimme, and they're trying to steal, they're trying to do everything they can to misrepresent and play victim. And so you have to take that into the account, that that a box person might think, well, this person might be up to something, and that's they have their their hand up where they're not trusting, and so unless you're there continuously playing and showing that you're a great player, and continuing to do as you say, that you're going to always work, and they see that you're always going to work, and you show that as a consistency, then it's like, oh well, then that kind of eases them. But there are a lot of pit bosses that are box persons that I see that will take that attitude where well, he just might be trying to get by with something. So I just wanted to
100% valid.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
Not that it's against any
And-
kind of player, but the only times I've ever really seen a dealer's frustrated is if you have these odd bets like 78 or 102 on a 6-8. They don't always know the payouts for those directly, and there's a lot of confusion. But especially when you get new dealers, obviously there's always going to be that area of learning and experience. And oftentimes, and John, you said this before, like you'll be there helping them. What it pays because you're familiar with the bet. But that's the only times I've rarely seen them. I've seen some dealers who will get on with you about not knowing what you want to do. And I've actually said to a dealer, well, I didn't know I wanted to bet that until right at that moment. So, back the hell off, it's my money. So,
All right, we'll go to one final question here from KG. Do you guys like to track numbers and base your bets on what is due? I'm gonna kick it around the entire panel for the final question. So, Joe, do you track numbers and do you bet on based what's due?
My first goal is to get out of the shooter, so I try to get out of the shooter within 2 to 3 hits of the dice. And then after that, I normally start pressing up the numbers that are hit, and I have a press schedule that I follow. So if the certain number, sorry, John, is trending, I will get that number up higher, and I won't press the other ones up. So the answer is yes and no. Get out of the shooter first, then start press down.
John, do you track bets or do you base on what you think is due?
My best friend tracks all the numbers, and I don't bet on what's due. I bet on what's happening. And then I look at my best friend's call sheet of numbers, and I go, damn it, if I would have done this strategy instead, I would have won more money. There's zero value in trying to guess what's coming. You just bet what's in front of you. That's it.
Yep. We're going to go to your bestie boo, Jen. Jen, I know you track numbers, but how do you track what's going on? And then do you bet based on that?
Yeah, absolutely. I think anyone who's played with me knows I have an actual tracker, similar to Brian, Holy Rollers tracker. but I will write down everything, including the hard way. So if 8 comes hard, I'll do an 8 with an H. And then we can look back. And what's helpful about that is I'll know, gosh, the 8's been a repeater. And, Joe's hit like 7 hard ways. In fact, I'll just say 6. 6 plus 1 hard way. So let's, hop on the hard way. If you're not doing it, you're kind of missing out, right? I won't, Ryan will just bet the hard ways. I'm like, oh, why don't we wait till we actually hit one? But, Ryan has his thing. And so, yeah, I track. And Coach Bo had me doing where it's like you alternate, you full collect one and then you press the next one, right, on the same independent number. So it forces you to track. So I do that. I don't bet what's due. I just bet what has been coming.
Craig, you track at the table?
So first I want to say, if you all ever get a chance to play with Jen, she doesn't just track like the people that are part of the, the meetup. She tracks everybody, every single shooter around the table. Which is great information if you want to go up to her afterwards and say what happened. But she's really at an advantage by writing it down like that. Now, John gave out as a gift last year the Craft for the Cure notebook with pen, and I actually took it to the Horseshoe one morning for a coffee run. I just bought in for 100, and I actually wrote down the rolls, and I even wrote down when dice went off the table, and I turned my bets off. And damn if a 7 didn't hit. But I almost wrote them down as if which was what I did during the 6 show run of Friday Night Fights. The 6 times I won in a row is I was tracking all of the things and betting that way. I actually should do it more often. I should do it every time I go. I should take that little notebook with me because I think it's really helpful to know what happened and how you can improve your play.
Craig just had to rub in that 6 wins in a row. That's great. Dylan, do you track anything when you're playing at the table?
Well, if I'm at a real table or I do at Bubble Craps. I'll use their tracking and what they show up there on the different screen displays. So I do read that, and I for the pyramid that they do. So I do pay attention to that. But if I'm at a real table, I'm not marking or tracking anything like that. I do capitalize on the clusters that do come, but no, I don't do that at a where I'm throwing the dice at all. No.
Ryan, how do you track at the table?
Yeah, I don't track anything. In fact, you can call it my ADD, you can call it just me being my memory is zilch when it comes to what they've rolled. And usually my betting presses are if I hit a 6 or 8, I'll press the 6 and the 8 together. I press the 5 and 9 together, and I press the 4 and 10 together. So it doesn't usually mean knowing what they hit. As if I press up one or the other, it doesn't matter to me. I don't change my betting scheme. I don't change my betting patterns based on what they've rolled. I just try to get them both sister numbers. When they do hit one, I press the other one with it, so in tandem together. Whether it's 5 or 9, I usually drop down $15 and make them both 50 each or whatever it is. But I have no tracking system whatsoever, and I bet according to that.
Brian, how do you track at the tables?
Well, first of all, I want to thank Jen for talking about the dice tracker that you can get at holyroller.com. I'm just playing. Yeah, I have a tracker, and I do track things. I don't track according to what's due, but kind of what happens. Like if I notice something that's happening over and over, then I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna track that. I'm gonna start tracking that, because every time a horn rolled back to back, I'm gonna start tracking to see how many times it does and how many times it doesn't. And once I see that it's like, man, it's always doing it, then I'll start betting it. Or like if a 5 hits, and then sometimes I think about this as dice influence, by the way. If a 5 hits, I'm like, hey, 9 comes after 5. Like I'm speaking it so the dice can hear me. And then I'm like, hop the 9 for $2, hop the 9. And then I hit it because I've seen it in the pattern, because I've tracked it. And I'll hit it, and they're like, how'd you know? Like they look at me like, how'd you know? And I'm like, holy roller. No, I'm just playing.
No,
I'm just playing.
that's a good
I'm
one.
just,
That's a good one. No,
I'm
yeah.
just playing.
I'll wrap this up quick. I do not really track rolls at the table. My bets usually tell me what's been hitting because that's what's getting pressed. If I do track, I use a chip flip system where I put the box numbers and I'll flip chips every time they get hit. Grandpa Clay taught me that one. I have written rolls down in the past. I don't really do it at the table because I get bored out of my mind doing it, and it's a pain in the ass, and I hate doing it. When I'm playing my online challenge, I do write down every single roll like Jen does. I write down the dice combination. I write down if it was a hard way, what I lost or won on the roll, all that kind of stuff. But that's for tracking purposes, so I can know what's going on my daily challenge I'm doing. But that's our final question. So we're gonna wrap it up, get final thoughts, final words from everybody. Color coming in. Just want to remind everybody that crouchforthecure.com is still live. Please do go check out the raffle items. Grab some bingo cards when John's gonna be doing that, and the drawing is on Veterans Day, so stay tuned. So I want to thank all of our guests for coming on tonight. We're gonna grab their final thoughts. Jen, ladies first. Final thoughts, final words.
Yeah, hey, this is fun. Gotta go. Wife's giving me the, like for the camera, the kill switch. So it was great to see all of you guys.
Greg, final thoughts, final words. Craig cut his camera, so he's probably doing something else. Ryan, final thoughts, final words.
No, this has been a blast. Thanks for listening to me. I learned so much from listening to everybody's different way of playing, different ideas. That's why we love to do this. We love to have the different mindsets and all this kind of coming together and kind of one common purpose, right? We love the game of craps. We love the just camaraderie between hanging out and talking to each other. Even though some of us never met, some of us we have, just kind of all coming together. And this is stuff we really enjoy. We love everybody in the chats. Thank y'all for those who have supported on the Craps for the Cure. Keep those donations coming in. But yeah, this has been great. I've enjoyed it.
Ryan, final thoughts, final words.
Yeah, I'm going to go back to my come out and just talk about this community and how awesome it is to be together, not only virtually and in Discord and commenting on the videos. Thank everybody that does all that. Thumbs up. But man, being in person is just a whole nother level. So I would say make plans. Put it into Craps for the Cure as part of your giving, part of your budget for Craps for the Cure next year to actually make the trip and be there. That community together in person is just next level. So that's my final thoughts.
Joe, final thoughts, final words.
Similar to Brian, man. If you guys get to meet us, go on some of these trips, come and meet us. We are decent people. Everybody that you see up on the panel here is pretty much what you see. I mean, in real life, we are there to meet you guys. And in Vegas, it was so cool to have all these people that I've never met, but I've chatted with, I've talked to, on phone calls or whatever, and see these actually in person, or the people come up to you who you don't know what they look like, and hey, my name is such and such. It is a really cool experience. This community is awesome. Thank you very much.
John, final thoughts, final words.
I guess we'll stay on the same subject, right? It is cool. I got to say this, meeting y'all in person's great. It's like, but we said it when we were there. It's like, oh, we shook hands and hugged and everything else. And it was like we'd done that 100 times already. It was very natural meeting everybody in person. It was very cool. So like Chris said, Craps for the Cure is still going. We still have, the auctions are up, right? I'd like to see some more raffle tickets bought. The final thing is going to be on Veterans Day, Monday, the 11th. You can expect a monumental announcement that night. Some of you know what's going on. Some of you may not know what's going on. A monumental announcement. Nobody let it slip. What's going to happen on that night? I will tell you, I will let this part of it slip. Somebody has stepped up who asked to remain nameless, but has put us to the number that we needed to get to. So we had a goal in mind. We got to the goal. Now I have to put it out there. We made magic happen, right? And it's just because of the way that it happened. I wanted to make sure that we talked about it. So it's pretty cool. Somebody stepped up and said, "Hey, I've just been called to make this happen," and he wanted to it's out there. I'm not going to talk much more about it. We still have a long way to go, right? Purchasing the dog last year and this year was goal number 1, right? But dogs also cost another 20 plus K to raise all year long and feed them and house them and train them and all that stuff, right? So goals are amorphous, right? They're moving. That the goal line is moving. So I just want to let you know that we appreciate all the effort, all the time and money people put into this thing. But yeah, tune in, keep donating, and tune in on the 11th. We're gonna have a really good night there.
It's going to be an exciting show. Craig, final thoughts, final words.
It is.
Yeah, I've done enough of these craps chats that people should know that my coloring up is I come full circle from where we did the beginning. So I'm just going to come back to the stuff I said about Waylon, but it pertains to everybody in the community. So I support everybody. Go on their lives, go on their premieres, watch their videos, and make comments. Not enough people make comments on videos. The comments aren't just what you thought of it, but maybe some constructive criticism as well, which is fine. I know a lot of people email, but support the community because it's a really great community. And when people are down or channels are down, lift them up. Um, text them, text somebody, email somebody. You know their emails, or if not, ask for the emails and give them some encouragement because it takes a lot to do a live video. It takes a lot to do a recording and edit it and put it out there for people. And go watch Ryan, go watch Brian, go watch Chris, John, everybody, CGTV. Go watch Joe in the mornings. Support these channels because it's a really great amount of content, a great amount of knowledge, and you're going to be a better player at the casino for it. So that's what I got to say.
Rylan, final thoughts, final words.
Oh, another enjoyable craps chat. What can you say? We have a great craps family. Everyone is fantastic. We're all human. We all make mistakes, and we don't claim to be perfect. We're just close, right? So that's all I can say about that.
Not even
But
close.
yeah, no, I'm. That's a small little joke there. So anyway, no, I enjoy everything. This is fun, and I get a blast every time we can get together. And I'd like to ask John. I'm sure that the audience is wanting to do another after show meeting. I don't know if he's got one planned on this one or not. Probably not, but maybe on our next craps chat we can do an after show for everybody to jump in. So I just wanted to throw that out there. So because we all want to include everyone as much as we can. So that'd be another great thing to do.
Yeah, the Discord's always open. There's a Discord voice channel for Craps Chat that's always open. So if anybody wants to jump into that after the show and hang out, they certainly can. Go to the Casino Gaming TV Discord.
Go there if you want to chat afterwards.
Yep.
Episode 6, season 3 in the books. We'll see you guys very, very soon for another episode of Craps Chat. Just again want to thank Brian, Ryan, and Joe for coming on to talk tonight and discuss all the topics. Thanks to everybody who was in chat asking questions and all the feedback and stuff that was going on. So we appreciate it. Again, remember, crashforthecure.com if you want to get any raffle items. Just because a goal has been met doesn't mean we can't exceed the goal. So let's go above and beyond. All right, let's continue to get those bingo cards, continue to donate, all that kind of stuff. It's for a really good cause. And we'll see you guys very, very soon for season 7. Have a great night. We love you all.
Yeah.